Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. Do you believe that there is Christian persecution in the world? If you don't, you're not paying attention. ChristianityToday.com reported the top 10 countries for Christian persecution. They're listed as North Korea, Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, Pakistan, Eritrea, Yemen, Iran, Nigeria, and India. Of the top 50 nations, 34 have Islam as their main religion. 9 in 10 Christians are killed for their faith in identified African nations. Abduction cases of Christians jumped up 63% from the year before. Some 4,488 churches were attacked or forced to close worldwide. We're talking about last year. The number of God's people who are suffering should mean the church is dying. That Christians are keeping quiet, losing their faith, turning away from one another. But that's not what's happening. Instead, in living color, we see the words of God recorded in the prophet Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. The listed nations, 50 of them, contain 309 million Christians living in places with very high or extreme levels of persecution. Persecution that is up from 260 million last year. Another 31 million could be added from the 24 nations that fall just outside the top 50. Nations like Cuba, Sri Lanka, and the United Arab Emirates. For a ratio of 1 in 8 Christians worldwide facing persecution. It includes 1 in 6 believers in Africa and 2 out of 5 in Asia. Last year, 45 nations scored high enough to register as very high in terms of persecution levels. That's on Open Doors' 84-question matrix. This year, for the first time in 29 years of tracking, all 50 qualify, as did 4 more nations that fell just below the cutoff point. Open Doors identified 3 main trends driving last year's increase. One is COVID-19, acting as a catalyst for religious persecution through relief discrimination, forced conversions, and as justification for increasing surveillance and censorship. Then there were extremist attacks, opportunistic rampages spreading further throughout the sub-Saharan Africa from Nigeria and Cameroon to Burkina Faso, Mali, and beyond. And then Chinese censorship systems continuing to propagate and spread to emerging surveillance states. Open Doors has monitored Christian persecution worldwide since 1992. North Korea has ranked number 1 for the last 20 years, ever since 2002 when the watch list began. The 2021 version tracks the time period from November 1st, 2019 to October 31st, 2020. It's compiled from grassroots reports by Open Doors workers in more than 60 countries. And the purpose of these statistics is to guide our prayers and aim for a more effective anger while showing persecuted believers that they are not forgotten. Where in the world is it hardest, more dangerous to follow Jesus? North Korea, Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, Pakistan, Eritrea, Yemen, Iran, Nigeria, India. Nigeria entered the top 10 for the first time after maxing out Open Doors' metric for violence. The nation with Africa's largest Christian population ranks 9 overall, but is second only behind Pakistan in terms of violence, and it ranks number one in the number of Christians killed for reasons related to their faith. Meanwhile, China joined the top 20 for the first time in a decade due to what's called an ongoing and increasing surveillance and censorship of Christians and other religious minorities. We've talked about some of that on the Bible Forum in the last year. Of the top 50 nations, 12 have extreme levels of persecution. 38 have very high levels. 4 nations outside the top 50 also qualify as very high. I mentioned Cuba, Sri Lanka, United Arab Emirates, Niger. 19 are in Africa, 6 in North Africa. 14 are in Asia, 10 are in the Middle East, 5 in Central Asia, and 2 in Latin America. 34 have Islam as a main religion, 4 have Buddhism, 2 have Hinduism, 1 has atheism, 1 has agnosticism, and 10 have Christianity, in word only. 29 countries represent Islamic oppression. In 6 countries, it's clan oppression. In 5 countries, it's dictatorial paranoia. In 3 countries, it's religious nationalism. And by Buddhist nationalists in Myanmar. Political oppression, Asia, North Korea, China, Vietnam. All while we sit comfortably here in our little cocoon, satisfied, looking around and wondering what all the hubbub's about. Well, if you're less than 30 years of age, you are probably going to find out firsthand. All you have to do is live a little bit longer.